Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Good day to everyone. Today we have the 85th Distinguished Lecture Series by our distinguished speaker, Prof. Dr. Jin-Song Dong of National University of Singapore and US. The title of the sharing today is Trusted Decision Making and Dependable Intelligence, a Formal Approach. We also have our respected dean, Faculty of Engineering, Prof. Dato' Dr. Muhammad Rafiq Abdul Kadir, and I'm Syahidah Sulaiman from School of Computing, Faculty of Engineering, to be the moderator of today's DLS. Our collaboration with Prof. Dong started in 2009, where as part of the steering committee of Asia Pacific Software Engineering Conference, Prof. Dong supported our event that was 16th Asia Pacific Software Engineering Conference 2009, and last year Prof. Dong also gave very good support to us along with the APSEC steering committee to organize 26 APSEC 2019. Without further ado, let's welcome our dean to open and introduce our distinguished speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Syahidah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our 84th UTM Engineering Distinguished Lecture Series. My name is Muhammad Rafiq, and I am the Dean of Engineering, University Technology Malaysia. Today, it is my utmost pleasure to welcome Professor Jin-Song Dong from National University of Singapore. A bit about our distinguished speaker today. Jin-Song Dong is a full professor at the School of Computing at the National University of Singapore and US. His research is in the areas of formal methods, safety and security systems, probabilistic reasoning, and trusted machine learning. He co-founded the PAT verification system, which has attracted 40,000 plus registered users from more than 1,000 organizations in 150 countries, and won the 20-year ICFEM Most Influential System Award in 2018. Jin-Song is on the editorial board of ACM Transaction on Software Engineering and Methodology, Formal Aspects of Computing, and Innovations in Systems and Software Engineering, a NASA journal. He has successfully supervised 26 PhD students, and many of them have become tenured faculty members in leading universities around the world. He is a fellow of the Institute of Engineers Australia. In his spare time, he developed the Markov Decision Process (MDP) models for tennis strategy analysis in PAT. Jin-Song also plays competitive tennis and enjoys coaching tennis to his 3 kids, who all reached #1 Singapore, Australia national junior ranking. So that is a brief and interesting biography of our distinguished speaker today. Here now is Professor Jin-Song Dong from National University of Singapore with a talk entitled Trusted Decision Making and Dependable Intelligence, a Formal Approach. Professor Jin-Song Dong, over to you.
It's a great honor to speak in this lecture series. It's very happy to see old colleagues and on the other side online. It's truly a pleasure. And unfortunately, we couldn't physically be there, but even though we're so close. But I think the online platform also create quite a flexible environment for us to exchange ideas. So I will start sharing the screen. Okay, so is my screen okay?
Yes, we can see your screen,
right.
Prof.
Okay, so today I'm going to talk about trusted decision making and also dependable intelligence from a formal method point of view. There are 2 systems that I like to touch upon. First is a process analysis toolkit called PAT, which is integrated model checking systems for reasoning about concurrent real-time probabilistic systems. The second one, I will look into how the formal reasoning combine with the modern machine learning techniques to create an explainable and trusted verified machine learning system called SALUS. So if you're looking at the current trend, there's in the recent study, the software failure roughly costs about over $1 trillion worldwide each year. And a recent software design error I think everyone aware of is Boeing 37 MAX 8. There's a software system called Maneuvering Characteristic Augmentation System called Markov, which malfunctioned, basically were poorly designed, and which cost more than 300 lives, $1 billion in potential sales for Boeing. But most cost is the trust in the safety critical software of the Boeing company. That reputation is hugely damaged. If you're looking at the recent trend in the systems, the complex systems, the systems become much larger in scale. The system become larger than ever. It's more complicated. Their development involve more engineers, more developers, and all this lead to more bugs, more unexpected outcomes, and unplanned, maybe the corner cases. And the system has also become much more connected. The system are increasingly connected with more and more network devices interacting with complicated protocols. With 5G network, sensor, mobile phones, IoT devices, there are many more complicated interaction and possibly the high-level optimization also creating tremendous challenges. We are building systems that are more and more optimized for common cases, extreme daily life via automation, cross-domain synergies, and improved efficiencies. However, the more optimized the system is easier for small change to disrupt the whole system. So those are the challenges which really requires much more sound software engineering techniques, particular formal methods as ever even needed. So if you're looking at a formal approach to improve the quality of a software, one of the early paper I can find in the literature can trace to all the way back to Alan Turing's checking large routine presentation at Cambridge University. So Alan Turing come up assertion and highlight the challenges of even reasoning about large routines in the calculating machine back in 1949. So those kind of assertion approach has an impact to number of Turing Award winners. Turing Award is like Nobel Prize in computing. Tony Hall, for example, based on those ideas of assertion, come up a whole logic, which set a foundation for program verification. Tony Hall, another award-winning contribution is also called communicating sequential processes. Is looking at a concurrent systems, creating an event-based calculus that is be able to modeling concurrency and communication in parallel systems. So Tony's CSP, communicating sequential process contribution, also won his Kyoto Award in 2000, which is another very prestigious award presented by the Japanese prince. And that's the language which our system is very much based on the Tony Hall's event-based calculus, so-called CSP. So PAT model checker, which we developed, is based on Tony's the event-based calculus, like CSP. But our verification engine is also based on a model checking, which is another Turing Award winner, Edmund Clerk's work. Edmund Clerk with his former PhD students, Alan Emerson, and another French scientist, won the 2007 Turing Award for creating efficient model checking systems, be able to reasoning industry system. For example, Intel create an in-house model checker, be able to check Core 7 execution cluster are completely correct. And also Microsoft driver correctness verification system is based on the model checking techniques. Even Bill Gates talked about how proud he is the Microsoft making advances in terms of formal verification, in terms of software correctness. So those are the actually two reasons, a major realistic industry impact from model checking won the Edmund Clerk's 2007 Turing Award. In Singapore, my group is extremely lucky. We have those two scientists, they're still alive. They are getting old, but they be able to visiting my group multiple times in the past few years, give us a lot of feedback, advice. And so when we have our model checking system PAD 2.0, we have Tony visit our group, we give a presentation. There's wonderful feedback from Tony on the language design and how the system is going to be developed. At PAD 3.0, we have Edmund Clerk visited us twice in the last few years, give us idea how to improve our model checking algorithms, make it more large scale and more efficient. So those are also the photo of my group. I like to acknowledge them. They have contributed tremendously to our research. So let me start with the PAD system, which is continuous collaboration with two of my former PhD students, Sun Jun, Liu Yang. Sun Jun now is a tenured professor at Singapore Management University, and Liu Yang is also a full professor at Nanyang Technology University. So three of us still continue working on the PAD systems. Both of them did a PhD about 10 years ago, but it's nice they're still in Singapore, not like my other PhD students went overseas, and the collaboration getting weaker. But when they're in Singapore, we can physically still meeting every 2 weeks and be able to continue working on a system which has a very substantial work involved. For example, it has we need to manage about over 1 million lines of C# source code, over 15 different verification modules. For example, whatever you have a system with concurrency features, we have a domain-specific abstraction and labeled state transaction semantic to support that module. If you have a real-time embedded systems, we have a timed transition semantics with the algorithm for reasoning about timed systems. If you have a probabilistic nature problems, we have a Markov Decision Process semantics model and reasoning algorithm to calculate the minimum and the maximum probability for reaching a particular interesting state. Now we have a number of verification modules for web services, for security protocol, for smart homes, and for some kind of domain-specific modules for particular system context. So we're very lucky to have many registered users, which give a lot of feedback, so we can continuously improve PAD in different versions. We also have a commercial version, which boarded year after year by Toyota, Mitsubishi, Japan Space Agency for checking their embedded devices of the correctness. So, so we go to Japan every year and give tutorials to industry with different kind of presentation, but it's very helpful for us to further improve the systems. And then luckily, we won the 20 years most influential system award in 2018, together with the two of my former PhD students. And again, I'd like to acknowledge their tremendous contribution, not just from NUS now, it's also from NTU, SMU. It's really a Singapore product for the PAD system. The recent direction is really pushing model checking, not just checking the dialog situation or checking safety security properties, but also pushing model checking as a problem-solving tool for planning, for scheduling, for reasoning about the probabilities. So that kind of idea Also won the number of awards, including a student team award in the EXE competition among the 94 teams. There are 2 teams won the final awards. So our students are using PAT, not just checking the system is correct, but also using the model checker to calculate a particular optimized travel routes for the elderly be able to in the smart city in that particular competition. So here is a current projects using PAT to apply to many domains. For example, most of the project on the top is really related to cybersecurity. For example, the Simple UK joint project with Oxford University with my colleague Andrew Martin is very much using security PAT to checking smart grid security and privacy. Then we have other projects to develop a methodology to create a compositional approach for building security verified systems. Another interesting project is using PAT model checking system to come up a trustworthy system from untrustworthy components. For Singtel US cybersecurity lab, we're also using PAT model checking systems to analyzing security analytics for encrypted data. This is the recent lab jointly funded by Singtel, put 20 million, government put $20 million, forming a very large lab at the US. Another interesting work is using game theoretical approach inside the PAT to reasoning about blockchain verification, particularly the smart contract corrections. But today, I would like to introduce 2 most recent kind of projects while I was taking an extended sabbatical in Australia. So those 2 projects are related to a team, which I have building a team in Australia while I'm taking a extended long sabbatical. So the first project is about trusted autonomy. The second is about sports analytics. I will spend more time on those 2 projects. As many of you know, that the future warfare is heavily depending on autonomous systems. There are many hardware has been developed, but the software controlling those robotics is troublesome, is concerned, is not that well developed. What we proposed to the Australian Defense Department is also funded by Australian Defense Department, is using model checking to check the goal selection, the hierarchical planning with their existing AI architecture. Okay, here's an example. The idea is that you start with that robotics, we start with the position H, which ultimately go to the position R for recharging the battery. But there's a number of goals with partial knowledge about the geometry of the place. Perhaps have no idea where the enemy is, but given the partial information, PAT model checker will automatically produce a travel plan for these autonomous systems. So this is the initial planning. However, after finish the goal number A, will travel to certain position, the computer vision, when they close enough, be able to detect maybe their enemy block you. So at that particular time, the real-time service from PAT model checker need to kick in to calculate another solution for the next travel routes. The PAT will calculating the routes which cover all the goals in such a planning routes, but later realize that it's just not enough battery to cover all those goals. So then if you are doing another calculation, which based on the importance of each goal with the different reward points, we'll calculate the plan to make sure the robotic will be able to reach the recharging station to finish as much as important goals as possible, may remove one of the least important goals from the planning. So this is one of the projects we under the Australian Defence Department looking at user model checking to provide the service for autonomous systems. The second project, which is particularly very interested to from the personal point of view, is that it's used model checking for event strategy analytics, particularly applied to sports. I have been involving with the sports since a very young age. Played a representing team for Australian University championships in tennis, and so I'm kind of interested in sports for many years. And the sports analytics has been around for some time. I think some of you may remember the Moneyball kind of movie, right? Brad Pitt did a good job for that movie. Basically, what they're doing is using statistics, calculating each player performance and how much each player worth. If they can form a team with very good quality of player with a reasonable enough money to pay for them, that kind of optimization, creating a team, be able to winning that particular level of leagues. Match, one match out on another match become a real story, and that movie was based on that, a real story of statistics and a calculation of each player, how much basically the player worth to buy that player into a team. And other kind of a data analytics applied to sports can be traced. I can think of one of the early ones is back to soccer, is that during 2006 World Cup quarterfinal, there's during the penalty shootouts, the German goalkeeper was given a little note. That little note created quite a critical role in the penalty shootouts. That was one of the instances of early data analytics applied to sports, from as far as the memory we can think of. As you can guess, that little piece of note created much earlier, because the German always very well prepared, and they looking at past videos, basically analyzing all the famous player of Argentina team, perhaps not just that team, other top players. During the penalty shootouts, what's their favorite direction, right? Number 10 Maradona maybe prefers the left low corner. Another player 22 and number 22 may prefer top right corner. So that kind of their favorite direction in the penalty shootouts was hand calculated in terms of probability given to the German goalkeeper. So he can just based on that give a gamble where to push his body towards and try to intercept that ball. And that works. German beat Argentina in a big way during the penalty shootout, and Argentina team have no idea what's going on. But later there are some kind of article about this little secret notes. In most recent memory, perhaps everyone now remember, is that 2014 World Cup in Brazil. Again, German, big Brazilian team, considered to be the best team in the world. 7-1, a big surprise win in the semifinal. Not only that, they also won the final of the World Cup in Brazil. Perhaps, guess who's taking credit for that win? Maybe I give a hint, some kind of a software company. Another hint, maybe some German software company. Now you probably can guess. It is SAP. SAP taking the credit to say, yeah, we helping the German team, and turn the data and the FRD sensor embedded to the players. We monitoring each player performance and scheduling the player until towards the best player, very well rested until the critical match, like quarterfinal, semifinal, or final. So Germany has the best lineup where Brazilian team and some of the top player perhaps already injured by the time they reach the semifinal. And also German has monitoring the using simulation, monitoring the player passing performance, and so it is a big successful story for SAP. And the many articles, if you Google search this SAP, the 13th player helping the Germany win the World Cup, it is a kind of a big application of data analytics in sports. And in tennis, there is also data analytics applied to match fixing, identify a potential match could be fixed in tennis using the data analytics. But of course, some of the result was wrong, and we actually even using formal methods and probabilistic model checking to prove some of the accusation has fundamental problems because the inertial prediction was not reliable. To do that, we need to come up a probabilistic model and the reasoning system be able to calculating the winning chance and provide sensitivity analysis for player, for coach, be able to changing a certain strategy to be able to beat opponents. So that's the kind of the interesting part of the research. To do that, we need using the module called a probabilistic module, which is not just try to calculating a particular plan and how to do it, but it's calculating a winning state and what is the minimum, what is the maximum probability. That semantic is based on Markov decision process. So the Markov decision process probabilistic module is producing a results which calculating the minimum probability and the maximum probability of satisfying a particular winning state. The example I always like to use, particularly this slice is on Federer and Nadal. I like to use this data before 2017 because that's the presentation I gave at the December 2017 to a coach conference before Australian Open. So this is the example I demonstrate that if you're using traditional data mining techniques, and it will falling apart because if you look at Federer at that time, before 2017, he has 17 Grand Slams. I know now is 20. I also had 20 now. But before 2017, Federer has 17 Grand Slam, Nadal 14. Federer has been total weeks #1 at over 300 weeks. Nadal only is about half of that of Federer. And Federer has won still a record 6-time end-of-year title. That's top 8 players play in London to see who's the best, right? Federer won 6 times. Nadal still not be able to winning a single title yet, and this year again lost in semifinal. So if you look at this data, obviously you're using data mining to say who's a better player, who probably the winner if they meet each other. It will be obviously Federer, but that against a key data is called head-to-head data, which is that Federer actually only winning 30% when he meet Nadal. They meet 33 times, Nadal beating Federer 23 times. So that's contradicting to other key data. So what's going on is that there is a probabilistic or strategic from Federer, or there's certain minimum improvement perhaps Federer can have will be able to beat Nadal. And what's the number? So that's the key question. And the coach will usually say, well, guess what? Federer probably need to improve his backhand a little bit because Nadal always running around with big lefty topspin forehand attack Federer's single backhand, particularly very effective on clay. Indeed, that's one of the pattern, the probability using very high probability pattern which Nadal is using. The question is, if Federer try to improve the backhand, and what is the number? Probably improve by what? By 5%, 3%, or 2%? And where's the ball going to be? The decision is what, cross court, or should be down the line for that improvement. So those kind of a question motivated myself, and also leading a group of students looking to a system which can do tennis analytics in terms of strategy of probability. To do that, we need to take all the complicated each data points and creating a model. So one of my favorite model which can explaining is Markov Decision Module. But roughly, the idea is that if some players start with the first serve, we'll have a three strategy, right? Either T serve or Y serve or body serve. If it's T serve, and it will perhaps around this region, another player will return maybe across court or down the line to that particular region. Then they will start do the backhand cross court, and until some player hitting ball out. So that kind of a process is a classic Markov decision process, which I wrote a paper back in 5 years ago to say tennis strategy is MDP. Based on that, we're developing a system which be able to helping player to optimize their strategy. So here's a model what it roughly looks like. So I divided tennis court into 8 location, 8 region. The reason I divided not just a 4 region, but 8 is that because when tennis ball hitting deep into the court, if Nadal hitting the deep into Federer backhand, Federer have a less angle to attack Nadal. But if Nadal hitting the ball short in the region 4, Federer can quickly go forward, have a much bigger angle to kill Nadal. So the probability distribution are very different based on different location on the ball land. So here is a very simple model. As you can see, the pad model checker is a integrated CSP notation with C# programming languages. It's quite easily. There's some shared variables which tend to serve. We don't know. Federer start score 0. Nadal also start score from 0. Who won? We don't know because we want to predict that. A ball initially in location number 9. Someone holding the ball may ready to serve. Who do the first serve? That's decided by the toss of the coin event. And here's a CSP operator called non-deterministic random choice. Whatever the toss of coin decide will decide either Federer serve or Nadal serve. Right. Now, sorry. If Federer start serve, so Federer first serve will start from deuce court, and here's the data based on the last 4 years average Federer's performance. Right, Federer took about 23% serving T, that is serving this area. If Federer standing here serving the region T, that's the area where Federer to serve and get a 23% in. Once his serve is in, it will trigger Nadal's forehand. Remember, Nadal is left hand. Nadal standing here. Federer is serving the T area. That will serving towards Nadal's forehand because Nadal is lefty. So Nadal forehand return, but Federer making about 15% mistake will trigger second serve. Federer use about 30% serving wide to Nadal's double backhand, which is correct strategy. He used most of the time, only making 11% mistake, but Federer also try to mix it up. 14% serving to the body will trigger Nadal either backhand return or forehand return. Make a 7% mistake when they're aiming for the body. So as you can see, here is a probabilistic choice with non-deterministic choice when they're serving to the body. Here is a classical Markov decision process model. If we know everything about probability, without non-deterministic choice, we got this Markov chain model. Now, if a Federer misses the first serve, he basically will trigger the second serve. As you can see, the probability distribution are very different. It's only 15% serving T, only make 3% mistake, because if you make one more mistake in second serve, guess what? You get double fault. Nadal will get a point, and here a piece of algorithm who's gonna serve next, right? In the super tiebreak, for example. There are 6 probability parameters. I didn't list all of them, but you got the idea what this model is about. So it's not just about serve, about forehand return probability, down the line, cross court, deep, short, and hitting the middle, deep or short balls. So that's for every action volley, we model all the probabilities. So I write that model by myself because my students don't have the tennis knowledge to be able to write the model in the first place. But we can calculate those parameters automatically based on the online data, which the student be able to come up algorithm to calculate those data, those parameters. Now you could say what the data looks like, right? So here the data looks like. This particular data from tennisabstract.com. Okay, here's one. For example, Federer versus Andy Murray. When Federer do the first serve, so here's the data from tennisabstract.com, is that Federer start first serve down the tee, fold, second serve to the body, and Andy Murray backhand return down the line, middle, and Federer swing volley down the line, that make a mistake, that force rally becomes 0-15. So that's very detailed, each action. So we turn this data then into calculating the probability parameters in average in the last 4 years, right? Got the idea? So once I have that, we can automatically calculate the probability MDP profile for each player automatically. So we can know each player at a different situation, how they're serving direction, for example, serving T wide, what's their under pressure, where they particularly like to serve, and so on. Obviously, you can think of another application is directly for online betting, right? Using this probability model checking to predict the winning chance of a particular tennis match. So it here just shows that we did a simulation for the online betting. Simple was very strict. Perhaps one of the reasons I took a sabbatical leave is that you cannot do online betting only with a simple government. And here's the data by simulation is that we're making 22% profit if against the 365.com the betting sites with those in the matches. But that's not really the thing I'm interested. I'm interested in the idea that how to help Federer, for example, be able to beat Nadal, right? We see that Nadal beating Federer so many times, and how Federer have a chance to be able to beat Nadal. So now I want to give a real-time sports analytic demo to basically helping Federer how to beat Nadal. So here is a model which I show you a little bit in the slides, right? You have this serving 23% to the tee for Federer, Nadal, and 30% wide, 14% to the body. That's Federer strategy. Then you have a second serve strategy, and the return and Nadal's return strategy probability. And you have this big model between Federer and Nadal in the last few years. The probability parameter is based on tennisabstract.com, including over 5,000 or 6,000 matches. So one particular area I want you to have a look at the focus is that, for example, Federer making only about 11% mistake on the forehand side, right? But look at this, when towards the backhand, Federer making about 18% mistake. That was quite alarming, kind of against Nadal. So here is perhaps a little area of improvement. But before I do that, just show you that what is the probability of Federer winning against Nadal. So based on the last 3-4 years data, Federer winning chance against Nadal is probability MDP will calculate minimum as maximum probability winning. If both below to 50%, means this player going to lose the match, likely, right? Now, as you can see, the minimum chance for Federer winning is 46%, below 50%. The maximum winning chance for Federer winning is 47%, which also below 50%. So this formula basically verifies that Federer going to lose to Nadal based on all the combination reliability of each their actions. So the question is, can we do a bit of sensitivity analysis without changing, 300, 400 parameters? We only changing one parameter with a very small margin of change to see whether there's huge impact to Federer winning, right? So the question is, if Federer coach knows, well, they know Federer backhand making more mistake, but what's the number? They probably don't know. Particularly, they don't know what's the number for Federer to improve, and also that improvement, where to put cross court or down the line. And here is our proposal, which I present to the coach conference and in the Australian Open back in 2017, end of 17, is that I propose that if Federer just improve 2% is almost like 1 in every 50 ball, don't hit it out. But where to put it? Obviously, we're going to put it down the line because that's not Nadal's backhand. So now we're going to change 2% from 18 to increase this 18 to 20, right? We cut this 18 to 16, put that 2% to down the line. So that's the strategy analysis. We'll change 18 to 16 and change this 18 to 20. We don't touch anything else. As you can see, there are 300, 400 parameters, volley, serve, everything else the same. And now we're going to calculate what is winning chance now for Federer. Remember, before was like 46, 47%, both below 50%. Now with a tiny little 2% change on the backhand improvement, if you make a ball machine simulator Nadal's backhand practice half hour every week, guess what? Federer suddenly increased 46% to 50% something, and 47% to 51%, both over 50%. Now Federer can beat Nadal. So that's a very powerful sports analytics message. So one of the coaches sitting in the coach conference called Tony Roach, which is a former Federer coach, and they still have a good relationship. Tony Roach said, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, we don't know the number. We know we need to improve the backhand, but he will pass a message to Federer, right? So that was 2017. I just changed back. I don't want to mix up with this data. Guess what? In 2018, Federer beat Nadal every single time with a beautiful backhand down the line. And I think Federer at least owed me $1 million, right? What do you think, guys? And it's a message, obviously, improve a lot on his backhand, not so much cross court. Every time Nadal attacking him, very early down the line, put Nadal in trouble. And he's consistently improved a lot. So that's make sports analytics quite effective. But the question is, Federer still owe me $1 million for that analysis. They still haven't paid me yet. So what do you think we're going to do? What are we going to do is that, well, you don't pay me, I'm going to use lower ranked players, helping them to beat you. Yeah. John Millman is a good friend, ranking world 42. It's also my son's mentor, a hitting partner sometime back in Australia. And so here is just evidence that, my message, my probability profile of Federer sending to John Millman is just the match before the US Open 2018. Federer was doing very well, coming back with injury, beating Nadal straight four times in a row. And at that time, the betting almost like if you put $1 in, one Federer against Millman in that round of 16, if a Federer wins, you only get $1 back with the 3 cents. But if you put $1 for Millman, guess what? You get a $19 back if Millman wins. That's a big difference. So we basically helping Millman in terms of analysis, where I like to serve to get a short ball, be able to attack Federer, and where Federer under pressure, where he like to serve without the probability analysis. So that's the file. We have a company to doing that and helping Millman. Guess what? Millman, beat all the expectations and beat Federer. It became one of the biggest story. And first time in his lifetime, beating Federer and make US Open quarterfinal. So that was really big news. We're not saying that we provide the key winning analysis, but we definitely help Millman in certain ways. So they just show you that the formal methods, it's not just can be applied to traditional safety critical systems, and a particular probability model checking used to be applied to calculating, for example, reliability of an aircraft. Right? If you think about the reliability of the aircraft, you can calculate that reliability based on the components, the wing reliability. The wing reliability also can calculate based on the sensors, also the other components of the reliability. So if you know the components reliability, you can calculate the overall reliability. The key idea which I come up is twist this kind of reliability calculation into sports. If I know each opponent reliability of each player, like a forehand down the line, how reliable reliability of forehand down the line, how reliable the forehand cross court, and how reliable the serve tees, how reliable the serve wide. I make that as a components. I can calculate the overall reliability of each player. And I can, even more interesting, I can use those two player probability profile against each other, even they never played against each other before. I can use the probability model against average right-hand player, average left-hand player, using those profile to use the two probability profile against each other, even they never played against each other before, to calculate the winning chance and analyzing the sensitivity to see what is the ultimate strategy change to improve your winning chance. So that's a very kind of a novel application in formal methods, perhaps no one has thought about before, be able to apply to sports. So we do many different kind of analysis, including all different kind of simulation and error predictions, and different matches, and it was very good for two-player games. The question is, can we scale up that play into more multiple players? And here's another application I just want to quickly to demonstrate that yes, it can apply to more players, like a poker game, right? The idea of poker game is that it can be summarized in such a abstract game, which is let's say you have 5 cards, right? 8 is highest, 10 is lowest, and you have 4-player play. And here is a simulation. The player here is a PAT model checker, probabilistic model checker, against whatever the opponents, their strategy is. Maybe some strategy is conservative, some is bluffing, some is start with conservative, later be bluffing, or start with bluffing, later become conservative. Whatever strategy is, let's start with a probabilistic model checking, making based on MDP, making the decision based on probability. Say each player put a $1, 1 ringgit into the table. Each player will get a card, so we can see our card. We can now see other people's card. The fifth card is hidden. And we're going to make a decision whether you're going to put a second ringgit, into second dollar into the table, right? The opponent will start. Look at the cards. Oh, my cards maybe not very good. I pass. I'm not willing to put a second ringgit, second dollar in. We look at our card. Well, we only got a queen. There's ace somewhere. There's a king somewhere. Better not, right? Pass. We also say pass. Opponent 2 look at the cards. Say, hey, yeah, I have a good hand. Maybe I challenge. I put a second ringgit or dollar in. Opponent 3, perhaps pretty conservative. Oh no, my hand's not good. I pass. Okay, if someone put a, second dollar in, everyone need a response once, right? This basically give up. So I give up this dollar. I'm not gonna put a second dollar in. Opponent 1 thinking, okay, you really got it. Highest card. My card's not bad, but you probably bluffing. Okay, I'd like to take the challenge. And the pad basically, based on probability calculation, say, oh, yeah, I will pass. But I just want to make it interesting for this particular trace. Suppose we didn't pass. Suppose we have a very strange analysis to say, okay, this guy may be bluffing with with maybe only J with the lower card, and this guy maybe even more bluffing. Maybe this guy conservative holding the king, but not ace. But maybe this is ace. If this is the pattern, maybe those two players bluffing. If they both bluffing, I may have a chance. Of course, well, probabilistic model checking will not make that decision. I just want to make that slightly more interesting one round of play. So if we think they both bluffing, we put a second dollar in, then we see, right? Of course, the usual case, this guy actually got good card. That's why he put a second dollar in. This guy thinking he's bluffing was wrong. We also wrong. We think they both bluffing. It's not really true. So this guy got all the money for this one round, right? Got idea? But probabilistic model checking will not make that kind of mistake. Will be actually make a pass. But guess what? We now not just use a pattern model checking to calculate the decision, but we also try to use a little bit of machine learning to start looking at the behavior of each player. Is this guy like bluffing, or this is a guy conservative? So have that kind of observation every time recorded, training the data, training the strategy, decision making. We can making ultimate winning strategy. So the more match we play, the pad is making more money. Whatever the strategy is, even they start with the bluffing, later become conservative, start with conservative, later become bluffing, we always beating them, whatever the strategy it is. So that's really summarized into this idea is that whatever you have the data, sports data, or environmental data, or cybersecurity data, we like to have this probabilistic model built. And later we like to adding the machine learning components to make the decision making more robust and flexible. So that can help certify the product correct, making the correct decision, make optimized planning. So that can apply to to sports, military application, or environmental prediction, or cybersecurity, or smart city. So that really connect to one of the very recent work which I've done with my Australian team is on this looking at a formal method integrating with the machine learning into a full scale. So this system called Silas really combine machine learning with automatic verification like model checking, SMT solver, and also with high performance computing, creating the state of the art called Silas tools, which now already have more than tens of thousands downloads now. And the commercial version also applied to multiple companies in Australia, in France, in China. So the idea of this trusted machine learning tool is that this is quite an independent tool from the PAD systems. It adopts this automatic reasoning systems, providing the explainable AI, providing the model insight, which is one of the unique feature in this machine learning system. And also provide a formal verification called model audit. And another unique feature is that it can be mathematically verify the generated prediction model, satisfy users' safety, security, specification requirements, but also satisfy government regulations. So that's the two unique feature for the PAD model checking. No, for the Silas machine learning system. So the architecture of a Silas machine learning, you have this usual machine learning creating the prediction, but added with the model inside explainable AI components to explain why the certain features are more important, leading to this prediction. But also adding the model audit to model the generated prediction model, satisfy government regulation, satisfy safety, security, and privacy requirements. Is at least is 6 times faster than the state-of-art tool like H2O in open machine learning community. And also use very efficient memory. You can just run the Silas system in your laptop rather than buying those expensive hardware extremely very good for big structured data analysis. Just a number of case studies in diabetes. It has a much better performance than the state of the art in other tools. Breast cancer and also heart disease and so on. In the medical field, we have quite a huge success in terms of accuracy and the performance. So, and of course, they also apply to finance data and many other domains. And this is the area we are really looking for new collaborators around the world and working with us on this dependable intelligence systems. So that's pretty much what I like to talk about. Hopefully, it was under 1 hour and give a chance for people asking questions. So I guess I will stop sharing the slides.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you. So we are in the Q&A session. We welcome any questions from the viewers. While waiting for the questions to be up, maybe you can share some of the challenges in your team to make your PET tool generic enough to support various modeling languages. Maybe you can share on that.
Yeah, it's a very good question. And as you can know, the Intel success and Microsoft success, their in-house model checker are very domain specific. The model checker created by Intel and Microsoft not be able to use by the general purpose users because they designed specifically for Intel i7 core execution cluster and Microsoft will for the driver correctness. So they're not general purpose model checker. We aiming for general model checker, so aiming for very common used calculus CSP, but extended with a common programming language like C#. And also we created this hierarchical module structure with many different library, so that you can create your own model checker on the fly almost within a month. We give a tutorial at ICFEM and ASE. The title of the tutorial is creating your own model checker within 1 month, because we have many common framework and the libraries already built it up and in a very structured way. So you can reuse some of the components very quickly, building a model checker for your own languages. So that make a PET much more generic, much more easily extensible. Yeah, good question.
Okay, thank you. So we have one question here.
Okay.
What are the skills needed to develop a sports analytics software?
What is sorry?
Yeah, maybe in terms of the developers. This comes from our student. The question comes from our student Alifa Diana. So this is the part, right? So
again, good question, because like in cybersecurity, as you can see, we have a big funding from government, but for sports analytics, I applied. I hardly get any funding. So what I did, is there's no other choice. When I was actually giving PET tutorial to the embedded system community in industry in Japan, one of the weekend I feel okay. I'm no funding, no student work on this. Guess what? I'm going to work on myself. So I spent the whole weekend writing the model, watching the video, hand code those percentage, and put in the model, and to see whether it works, be able to come up with a certain analysis. And I'm pretty happy at the end of the whole weekend. Only get some online sushi. It didn't even go out. Stay in the hotel for 2 days. I come up with a model, pretty happy about it. Then my first student was, I remember, was like an undergraduate, a 4th year student, right? So I put a proposal in because I don't need funding. It's a student for whatever they just interested in the topic, they will be working with you. And so there's a final year students turned out to be brilliant. And I just give the idea, he understood. He never played tennis before, but then they try to understand from the video. The good thing is, very good skilled programmer. He come up, the algorithm, the program from the online data automatically producing the probability parameter for my model, right? Once I have that, I say, aha, I said now you can also do for all the top 2 players. You just do another while loop, on top of your algorithms to create a probability profile for every single player. And we get this whole system be able to analyze, provide consultancy for all professional players, basically. And of course, the online data was limited. It's only 6,000 matches, mainly a community kind of hand code data. So to do much more service for helping like my kids or helping college players, you need to look at a video analysis. If you can take a video, be able to come up those kind of data from the video. So that's very challenges. And recently I have a company which look at a sports video analysis, mainly for advertising for the TV audience. But we convince them to work collaboratively because they have some certain data we like to have. We're looking to from the video analysis to create this sports data automatically from video, which also have a lot of challenges using deep learning, using computer vision techniques, try to analyzing where the ball bouncing points, the racket, whether it's from racket head from high to low, that means slice, from low to high, it means top spin, all this kind of action analysis based on video. So that's a group of intern, the company can pay a little bit of intern for that. So that's how, still based on the students. Now I've also got a PhD students working on this sports analytics, integrating computer vision, probabilistic model checking, multidisciplinary put together. And we also had a company in which try to provide consultancy for the professional players, giving them advice. Okay, if you meet this player, switch your 30% your T serve to Y serve. That increase your winning chance by what? That kind of advice.
Thank you. So we have one more question. In terms of the sport analytics software in sports gambling or maybe betting.
Okay, so it's a sports analytics software is mainly used for sports gambling. No, my proposal, my idea is really helping coach and the player to have a winning strategy against different kind of players. Of course, in the gambling company, I believe they hire a lot of statisticians and also machine learning people, try to come up with predictions in try to predict the odds, right, between 2 players. Once they have that, and then the people start to put the money. They also have algorithm to dynamically changing the odds based on a different player, put a different money for different players, right? They want to minimize their chance of loss. So they're a big team. Yeah, so it's but what's the difference? I guess because they don't have this powerful formal verification engine like probabilistic model checking, they probably using some kind of simpler like data mining kind of. They're probably looking at a much more abstract data like ranking points, head-to-head results. But rather than every single action, reliability of forehand, probability, reliability of the serving tee, we're really into the detail of every single action. And so we believe that we have a much more accurate analysis, much more powerful one, compared to their analysis, which look at a much bigger abstract data like ranking points.
Okay, we have one more question here.
Yeah.
So in terms of the data gathered, like in the tennis game, is a probability of the game outcome, as we don't know how the flow of the game will end. So it involves a lot of probability.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. Yeah. Also interesting question. Of course, when we do prediction, right, we always based on the past data of their performance, the last 3 years, last 2 years, or last 3 months, and this what the data based on pretty much historical data, and of course it's based on average performance of historical data. Therefore, the prediction, if we say 56% winning, it doesn't really means, this guy definitely gonna win. It just means that there's higher chance of this guy winning for this particular match. But this particular question also interesting in the sense that we may be able to provide some kind of a real-time assistant, because in women's tennis, WTA, Women Tennis Association, allows many just women's tennis tournament, allow coach to go to the player to give a player advice during the match. So after first set, they can go to talk to players, or after every 2 games if the player requests. So that creates a very dynamic environment. Imagine if they have an iPad which connects to a pet service or company consultant service. After first set, we can straight away have an analysis report produced to say, look, today's match, compared to the previous probability distribution of this opponent, there are a few areas he has changed. This player has changed a certain strategy, has a much more percentage of serving to your forehand this time. So this information can be highlighted to the coach. Coach with this, real-time report of this first set, he can talk to the player and say, hey, well, guess what? There's certain strategy change. Maybe we also have a certain change to counter that probability change. That will create a little bit kind of a real-time kind of consultancy or service. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you, Prof. Dong, from software engineering to data analytics, machine learning, and the tennis game strategy, not only 2 players, but more than that. That's very interesting, how to see software engineers link AI with the works and able to apply. Thank you so much. I think we have to pass the floor to our Dean. Let's welcome again our Dean.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shahida, for chairing the session and moderating the Q&A. And thank you for introducing Professor Jin-Song Dong to me. And to our distinguished speaker today, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Thank you so much for a great sharing session. And thank you for entertaining all the questions from our audience. To all our audience, we have more than 200 unique viewers for today's session. So this is really exciting to have a lot of viewers in our webinars. To all of you, thank you for watching UTM Engineering Distinguished Lecture Series. Do stay tuned. We have many more interesting lectures for you. So until next time, bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.